In those days, a decree went out from Caesar Augustus that the whole empire should be registered. This first registration took place while Quirinius was governing Syria. So everyone went to be registered, each to his own town. And Joseph also went up from the town of Nazareth in Galilee to Judea, to the city of David, which is called Bethlehem, because he was of the house of the family line of David, to be registered along with Mary, who was engaged to him and was pregnant.
Dream. While they were there, the time came for her to give birth. When she gave birth to her firstborn son, and she wrapped him snugly in cloth and laid him in the feeding trough, because there was no room for them at the inn.
In the same regions, shepherds were staying out in the fields and keeping watch at night over their flock. Then an angel of the Lord stood before them, and the glory of the Lord shone around them, and they were terrified. But the angel said to them, "Do not be afraid, for look, I proclaim to you the good news of great joy that will be for all the people. Today a Savior, who is Messiah the Lord, was born for you in the city of David. This will be the sign for you. You will find a baby wrapped snugly in cloth and lying in a manger." Suddenly there was a multitude of heavenly hosts with the angel, praising God and saying, Glory to God in the highest heaven, and peace to earth to people he favors."
Their joyous strains. had left them and returned to heaven, the shepherds said to one another, "Let's go straight to Bethlehem and see what has happened, which the Lord has made known to us." They hurried off and found both Mary and Joseph and the baby who was laying in the feeding trough. After seeing them, they reported the message they were told. They were told about this child.
Seeing them, they reported the message they were told about this child, and all who heard it were amazed at what the shepherds said to them.
you very much, kids, on short notice for doing that. Thank you, musicians, for working through that. And now I'm going to lie, and I'm a Baptist preacher now. I'm going to say I have a few words to say, which is never true of a Baptist preacher, right? But hopefully it will just be a few. I enjoy hearing the Christmas story read. It's great to have you guys read it. Thank you again for doing that. And to me, the theme of the message, for sure the theme of the message to the shepherds, and I think to us today, is when the angels come and say to the shepherds, behold, I bring you good tidings of great joy, which shall be to all people. Good tidings of great joy. And I was thinking back as I was working on the message of Christmas presents as a kid that I wanted, but because of the realities of life I didn't get. And some of you might remember this. This was real big in junior high on the basketball bus. And it was one of the earlier video games. It's the football game. I think it's Madden's Mattel football or something like that. Anybody, do you remember that one?
I've never seen it.
Okay, yeah. On the bus you play, pass it back and forth. So I thought that was cool, and that's one of the Christmas presents I wanted. So I thought, you know what, everything's retro now. I bet I could go out and find one of those. When I was a kid, I think they were $40-ish. You can get them now for $10, the very game. So if you do inflation and stuff, they should be like $200 now. They're $10, less than what they were when they first came out. And you know, I don't think my life is any less full because I never got that. I can remember it. You know, it made an impact in my life, but my life is no less full because I didn't get Mattel, Madden football. But you do think of some of the gifts maybe that you got as a kid, that you still remember today, that were kind of special. But you know, most of those, maybe all of those, if I tried to find them now, are in a landfill someplace, or rusted out in the field or something. They were exciting at the time, anticipation of them was exciting, but then they come, and you play with them, and you play with them, and they wear out, or they wear away. So that gift, eventually, it goes away. There are some gifts that we can give that are more lasting. My brother's high school class ring, made out of gold. He wore it for a week. It's in the field someplace in southern Ohio. He's riding the tractor, and he had his hand over on the fender like you do lots of times to look back. He went out in the morning, it was on his hand. He came back in the evening, it was not. So somewhere, we could take you to the field and say, somewhere here, there is some gold. It was a good gift. It was a lasting gift, but it was lost. And he doesn't have it. We kind of have it still somewhere, but he doesn't have it anymore. And I think of other things that we may, other news that we may get, other gifts we may get, and exciting news. Good news, hey, we're getting married. That's pretty exciting news. When I didn't tell my parents directly that we were getting married, I got them Paul an engagement ring. She's left-handed. She was sitting to the right of my mother. We were eating spaghetti. I think it was spaghetti, wasn't it? And I thought my mom was having a heart attack because she didn't see the ring. It's like, and so she noticed, and she was excited. Her youngest one was getting married. And, with marriage, we know this. Sometimes death happens. So even marriage is good news. Over time, it's separated by death. And Loma's had to deal with that, and Ada's had to deal with that, and others have had to deal with a spouse passing on, and things happen. And so even the good news of marriage is in a sinful world is tainted. When God created everything, He created everything very good. He created everything good. Then He made man and woman. He said it's very good. And then man and woman sinned and brought a curse on earth. And the curse has tainted everything that happens on earth since then. Other news that we might get, I'm pregnant. Parents look for children, and they try, and then God finally allows them to become pregnant, and so that's good news. And then there's delivery, which is not so painful for the guys, but I've heard can be painful for the women, and it's got its drawbacks. And And children are a blessing from God, but they're also work from the Lord for you to do. And then there's the news it's a boy or it's a girl. When our firstborn was born, who's here today, I was kind of taken by the moment, and one of the nurses says, you better go out and tell the grandparents because they're about to knock the door down. They wanted to know that the baby had come. And other things we might get is good news. You instead of having a new bill come in the mail, it's money comes in the mail. And that's good news to get money, but soon the money goes away. Or you may get news that, and this is great news, someone has cancer, and this is good to hear about Gary. The surgery went well. That's good news. And you may get news like that. As you know, the cancer that we said you have, we cannot find anymore. We've gotten it all. And that's good news to hear. But even then, if we were raised from the dead like Lazarus, because of the curse on the earth, we still, unfortunately, have to face another termination point. And death is the ultimate end of everyone that's here alive today. We're all going to die, and that's because of the curse. But in the curse, in pronouncing the curse, God said, in dying, you will die. Don't eat of the tree of the fruit of the knowledge of good and evil, because you will die. There will be separation. There will be, you'll be cut away. You'll be cut apart from me. And even in pronouncing the curses on man and woman and the earth, when he gets to the woman in Genesis chapter 3, and verse 15, well, we'll start with 14 because that's the curse on the serpent, on the creation. And the Lord said to the serpent, because thou hast done this, you are cursed above all cattle, and above every beast of the field. Upon thy belly shalt thou go, and dust shalt thou eat all the days of thy life. And I will put enmity between thee and the woman, and between thy seed and her seed. It, or he, shall bruise thy heel, and thou shalt bruise, or his head. He shall bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise his heel. And then to the woman he says, I will multiply your sorrows and conceptions. In sorrow you'll bear children. Your desire will be to your husband, to rule over him, but he shall rule over you. And to Adam he says, because you listened to your wife and eaten of the tree, cursed is the ground because of your sake. And sorrow works no longer pleasant. And sorrow will be all the days of your life. And thorns and thistles will bring forth, and in the sweat of your brow you'll eat the herb of the field, and you will die. You are taken from dust, and dust you will return. But the thing that's in there is, I will put enmity. And I'm not great at English, don't know a whole host of definitions of words, but that's a word we use a lot. And it's like, well, what does that mean? Fighting, I think of fighting. I've been at, I think, enmity with my brother in my younger days. We would fight each other. But if you look it up, enmity, I have to find it here, is positive. And that's not positive in the good sense, that's positive in the sense of there is no doubt that this is present. Enmity is a positive, it is a very evident, we say very evident and active. It's not just a passive thing, it's active, it's evident, active, and typically mutual hatred or ill will is enmity. So I will put ill will between you, talking to the serpent, and the woman, and between your seed and her seed. He shall bruise thy head. He will conquer you. And you, or but you, shall bruise his heel. That promise at the fall of man, pronouncement of curses, is also a pronouncement of blessing. And all through time, when Eve says, behold, I have a man from the Lord, when Cain is born, Cain, she's thinking this could be the one. This could be the one that restores fellowship with God. Well, Cain killed Abel, so that's gone. So she has another son. It's Seth. They have another son, Seth. And maybe this is the one. And Seth passes, and the relationship's not restored. And then the earth gets worse and worse and worse. And Noah comes along, and Noah is favored of God, just like Mary was favored of the Lord. Noah is favored of God. And God says, the earth is all evil before me. Their thoughts are only evil all the time. But Noah found grace in the eyes of the Lord. And he said, I want you to build an ark for the saving of your family, because I'm going to destroy the whole earth. judgment's going to fall. The judgment on sin is going to be the deliverance of the human race through the work of Noah. And so Noah builds the ark. It takes him 100 years. The ark's built, the flood comes, and Noah is preserved. But as soon, almost like the instant they're off the ark, there is sin. And the curse, even the good news of deliverance is tainted again by the sin of man. And that goes on with sacrifices having to be given to cover our sin for years and years and years. The Jews, Adam and Eve, the sacrifice was made to cover their nakedness. So sin is paid for by blood. And for years and years and years, the only approach to God had been through the sacrifice of an animal. And we get to this time that we celebrate in history where the angels make a proclamation, first to Mary, first to Zacharias and Elizabeth, then to Mary, then to Joseph, that the deliverer is going to be born. And one of the kind of, I don't want to say humorous things to me, is when the angels come to them, they say, this will be a sign to you. In verse 12 it says, you will find the baby wrapped in swaddling clothes. Well, have you ever been to the hospital, to the maternity ward? What's every baby in there? How are they? They're wrapped up. But here's the thing that makes it unique, lying in a feeding trough or lying in a manger. So Bethlehem is a town of some size. They're going to go find this baby lying in a manger. But before they go, here's what the angel tells them. First off, fear not. We talked about Mary some. We'll talk about the shepherds a little bit. Is anybody going to be honest, is anybody here scared of the dark? Okay. I used to be really scared of the dark.
Scared of what?
The dark. I lived out in the dark, dark country, and I was sure that something like the Headless Horseman lived out there, or some big beast or something was going to kill me. I've gotten over that, but I remember being pretty scared of the dark. So you get these shepherd guys, and you know what sheep are? Sheep are like food for every beast. David, when he watched sheep, he had to fight off a bear, he had to fight off a lion, wild dogs would come. The sheep were just like food. They couldn't fight. You had to fight for them. So shepherds sheep drew all kinds of wild beasts and animals. So shepherds are probably already a little squirrely anyhow. Listen, what was that? Well, let's see, sheep aren't buying yet or baying, whatever. They're not making noise, so it's probably okay. But then when they start making noise, something's up, and they're going to have to face something kind of scary. And nobody really came out to look for sheep, especially at night. Everybody else is asleep. So you think about sheep, shepherding. During the day, you can see everything. But when do most predators go out? At night. Okay, so you're awake all day leading the sheep, and at night you're awake all night watching the sheep, and then you're awake all day leading the sheep. So they were probably a little tired from doing that. They may have slept in shifts, and they would put them in caves and kind of sleep at the door of the cave to help protect them. But here they are out watching the sheep at night, and we don't know exactly how they came, but it seems like somebody just kind of walked up with them. This person standing there with the shepherds and says, don't be afraid. Well, they would be first, because there's somebody, because I bring you good tidings of great joy. Why is this such good tidings? Because the gift that God has given is not going to wear out. You're going to get it, and it's going to be your favorite thing, and you will not use it up. It can't be lost. It can't be this valuable ring that He gives you that you take out, and you're in the field, and you lose it, and it's gone forever. It's going to bring some complications into your life. He says in this life you'll have tribulation, but it brings a promise. Be of good cheer. I have overcome this world. And it's never going to do anything more but grow greater as you cherish the gift of salvation that God has given you. And here's the biggest benefit of that gift. When Adam and Eve sinned, before Adam and Eve sinned, how did they approach God? Face to face. God would come down and talk to them, and they would talk with God. As soon as Adam sinned, what happened? There was shame. There was fear. They no longer were comfortable standing in the presence of God. The angel says, I bring you good tidings of great joy. And what is that great joy? We no longer have to be afraid to approach God. We no longer have to be ashamed in His presence, because He has sent us a Savior, Jesus Christ the Lord, that through Him we can be restored to full fellowship with God. Even before there was a curse, kind of fellowship with God, that is the good news the angel brought. And that's the good news I am saying today. And it's not me saying, it's what God says. And it's not just me saying, guess what? We all have this message of great joy that we can spread to the whole world. We sing joy to the world, the Lord has come. Let earth receive her King. We, all of us, have this message of good tidings of great joy to carry to the whole world. If you don't have that message of great joy, if you still have fear and shame and embarrassment before God, you probably haven't received that great gift, because in that gift, it doesn't make us perfect, but it fixes us so that we can come boldly to the presence of God to receive help in the time of need. And if you would, Phyllis, come ahead up. You know what song we're going to sing? It's "Oh Come All Ye Faithful." The shepherds were faithful to the message that the angel gave them. It says, let's go and find Him. And they were faithful, and they went, and they found Him. And I will tell you, if you seek Him, you will find Him. If you have found Him, and you're not spreading that message of great joy, that like you should, like we should, come up here, you faithful people, and be encouraged to share that message with the whole world. So please stand.
Son
Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord lift his countenance on you and give you peace. Todd, would you dismiss us in prayer?